So we're going to be working with two pictures here, and we're going to put them into one composite, and it's going to be good practice for us with working with some of the more advanced selection tools. So the image I have open here is this graffiti image. You will have it in your module asset pack, and we're going to place another image into the same document. So File, Place Embedded, and it's Model that we're going to place. Okay, so that's the image. I'm going to hit enter to accept that. So what we really want to do is we want to drop the background out from the model picture so that the graffiti picture shows behind her. So there are many ways that you can approach selection, and there's no right or wrong way. It's really the result that matters. And what you want to do is work in the most efficient way that you know how. But every person has their own kind of workflow for selecting stuff. So I'm going to start with the object selection tool just because it makes life a little bit easier, and it kind of gets you halfway there, sometimes more than halfway there. So object selection tool, and because this photograph is very well composed against a very uniform background, it's going to do a pretty good job. If your photograph is more difficult, in other words, if you've got a model, let's say, posing against a complicated background like a landscape or something like that, the tool might not work as well. So really it's contextual. It depends on the situation and the context. So I'm just going to drag over the model and let it do its thing. So it's done a fairly good job, but by no stretch of the imagination a perfect job. It needs some refinement. And so here we now move on to the more advanced tools. So up at the top here is a button that says Select and Mask. You can also find it in the Select menu. There it is there. So I'm going to click on Select and Mask, and you'll see that at the top under Views, I've set it to On Layers. There are many other ways that you can view your selection: on white, overlay, marching ants, onion skin. So I'm going to choose On Layers. That's the one that works best for me because I want to see that background layer as I am selecting. And then I need to zoom in to see what's going on. So I'm going to press Command or Control 1 and then hold down my space bar and just have a look up here. So the hair is really the area that is my main concern, because this would be almost impossible to select without some assistance. So there's quite a few tools down the side here, and you will have watched you will have gone through the active learning, so these will be familiar with you. I'm going to use the Refine Edge tool or brush tool, and what I want to do is I want to just brush over the areas where I want it to look for detail and to refine it. So let's try that. So I'm just going to brush over here and let it do its job. So you can see that it's picking up actually very well the detail in her hair. Okay, and we'll go down to there. Okay, so that's not bad. I'm going to just close up all of these areas, and I'm going to go down to Output Settings, and I'm going to choose Decontaminate Colors just to see what happens. Okay, so you can see it does a fantastic job of actually removing those colors that were kind of discoloring her hair. So I'm pretty happy with that. So let's now start to go around and just check. You've always got to check properly. So I can see here there's something there that I don't want. So I'm not going to choose Refine Edge because this is a hard edge. Her arm is not, it's not a soft edge, so I need to use something else. So I'm going to go back to the Quick Selection tool, and I'm going to hold down Alt to subtract, and I'm just going to brush over there and release and let it refine that. Okay, so that's pretty good. Let's go in there a little bit. Okay, and if it goes too far, you can always just, without Alt, you can brush on this side to bring some stuff back. And remember, with selections, the closer you go, the better your result will be when you zoom out again. Okay, so just by using this tool and then Alt to subtract and no Alt to add, I'm just going in and correcting things. So here I'm going to hold down Alt, and I just want to go in and do some refining here. Okay, so it's quite dark there. I'm not sure how far her arm goes. I'm going to undo that. That's obviously gone too far, and let's just try that again. Let me do the lighter areas first. So Alt, and notice this way, when I let go, that's when it refines. So Alt again, and I'll just go down here. Okay, so now obviously it's taken too much of the fabric here, so I'm not going to hold Alt. I'm just going to go back and bring some of that back. Okay, and here as well. A little bit more there. Okay, maybe not. Let's just hold on Alt and take that out again. So now I get to this part here where it's actually dark on dark. So it's very hard for Photoshop to figure out, well, what do you actually want to keep and what do you want to get rid of? So I'm going to switch to the brush tool, and I'm going to make sure it's a fairly hard brush. Okay, not 100% hard, but about 80%. And I'm going to hold down Alt, and I'm just going to brush here. So now I'm actually painting my selection, or what I don't want selected. And I'll just bring my paintbrush size down with the square brackets, and also Alt again. Okay, it's even hard for me to see exactly where I want to select, so that's it's no wonder that Photoshop struggled a bit as well. Alright, and then here, once it's refined, I'll just go in and do a little bit here as well. Okay, so now let's go down here. So I can see here that I need to do a little bit more of brush work here. So holding Alt, I'm just going to shave off that extra bit of color there. That shouldn't be there. Now if you're working with a Wacom drawing tablet, it's going to make your life a lot easier. I'm using a trackpad right now, so it's not as easy. So my hand is not as steady. Okay, let's just get that there as well. Okay, so I'm going to continue going around. So here I can see that I need to take this out. So I'm just going to hold down Alt. And let's make the brush a bit bigger to speed this up a bit. Okay, and then okay, sometimes takes a little while to refine. And then here again, it's the difficulty of it working out which colors I want to keep, because the skin tone is quite similar to the background color of the wall. So I'm going to hold down Alt, and I'm just going to manually do this. Quite a lot of calculating that's going on, so there's sometimes a delay, and also remember I'm recording this as well, so that adds to the demand on my computer's processor. Okay, let's move across here, and now we can hold down Alt and just shave that off there, and the same here. So these little tweaks I'm doing manually. You can try using the refine edge. Sometimes with these little bits it's just actually quicker to do it by hand. If you want to get a neat result. Alright, so I think that's everything. A little tiny bit in here. So Alt, and I'm just going to go in there and do that. Obviously I'm rushing a little bit. If you're doing it for real, you need to take your time. And then also in here, so I'm going to try with the quick selection tool here and Alt. Let's see if it picks it up. Okay, so let go, let it refine. No, that was a rubbish job. So I'm going to switch back to the brush tool and Alt, and let's just do this manually in here. I think I'm going to switch to a mouse. It's just a little bit easier than the trackpad. Okay, and then if I go too far, I just paint without holding Alt on the other side, on the skin side, just to bring that back again. Okay, let's just check all the way around. Okay, and over here on the shoulder again, holding Alt. Okay, and then let's have a look. Okay, so that's actually pretty good. And when we press OK, it's always a good idea to choose Output to New Layer with Layer Mask. That means you're protecting the original photo. So if I press OK, you can see in my layers, I now have a layer with a layer mask. So if I hide that and show the original is there still for me to use. But that's the layer with the layer mask. If I hold down Alt and click on the layer mask, it actually gives me a black and white version to show me what's showing and what's hiding. So that's all that a layer mask is it's a black and white image controlling transparency. So white shows, black hides. Okay, so that's actually a pretty decent result. So I'm going to finish it off by adding a drop shadow. So with this layer selected, I'm going to go to FX, drop shadow. And I'm going to change the direction of the sun to about 105, and the distance, let's set that to about 300, and you can play around with this. I've set the spread to about 60, so it just kind of gives a bit of a sense that she's actually there leaning against this wall. Okay, so there's our composition. So we've done a pretty believable job of this using the more advanced select and mask tool in Photoshop. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and see you next time.